We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani.
And I'm Danielle.
And every morning, we come to you for 30 minutes of powerful information that will help transform your life and your marriage.
Absolutely. Listen, if you're new to the show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell so that you never, ever miss an episode. We are very excited about today's topic. But before that, Hassani, what do you have to share with folks?
This weekend we actually went, we were working with a couple who flew down from Baltimore, and we did a 3-day private marriage intensive, and it was really transformational. I know that we told you about it, and we wanted you to give some positive vibes and some prayers. Well, they experienced a tremendous breakthrough, and they left us a testimonial that they wanted us to share with you. So take a look at this, and we'll be right back to get started with today's show.
My name is Michael Koger. This is my wife, Marissa Koger. We made a decision to come to Couples Academy and partake in a private marriage intensive because of just where our marriage was. We were literally, above anything else, completely broken in communication. It was just like 2 people living in the same household, and there was absolutely nothing. This wasn't just an easy financial decision. It was actually a financial strain for us, but it was necessary. It was like your heart stopped beating and you needed the surgery or the tools to jump your heart. And it was through watching other videos on YouTube from Hassani and Couples Academy that helped to bring me to this point.
I don't know what to say that you didn't say, but it was definitely well worth it. Just in a few days, we dove into our feelings deeper than almost ever, and we've been together for almost 2 decades. It has changed our outlook on our marriage, our perspectives of each other and ourselves, and I am deeply grateful.
I agree.
I would definitely recommend this to other couples, even regardless of where you think you are in your relationship. I think everyone needs a tune-up. So even if you think that you're doing okay but not quite sure, this is perfect. It has changed my mind on so many things. I feel like I know myself deeper. I know my husband deeper. We have more hope for our future together.
I tell you, there's nothing more powerful than when people experience a change in the moment. Like, you could see the transformation in the moment.
I think it's powerful, the work that we do, that, a couple can come to Couples Academy feeling like all is lost, and it really is for them a last-ditch effort. Oftentimes, they're very apathetic. They don't really think this is going to work. They're just doing it because one person said, would you give me one more chance? Yeah. And then the transformation that takes place where they actually become a believer. It's almost like watching a lotus flower bloom, right?
It's so funny you mentioned that, because I was going to say, it's like watching like like a caterpillar in a cocoon, and it literally, you see it in real time, the transformation into the butterfly. And I think that's what couples are really experiencing. And one thing I love about what they said, you know what? It was financially taxing, but worth it, but necessary. Like that, at the end of the day, we spend so much on so many different things that we value, but there's a diminishing return. We get a brand new car. We love it. We
True.
love the smell. We love the way it looks, how we feel driving down the highway. But it has a diminishing return. That's why they said never buy a brand new car, because you lose thousands of dollars in worth as soon as you drive it off the lot. Any gift you get, jewelry, it doesn't matter what it is, that vacation. Like, you enjoy it, but over the course of time, it has a diminishing return. But when you invest in your marriage, it's not a diminishing return. It's an investment that continues to give and give and give.
And you think about the cost of divorce. I mean, I think across the country it's like $15,000 average, right? Even higher.
That's on the low end, yeah.
That's on the low end. It's much higher in Atlanta and other cities around the country. And so when you look at it that way, people are so quick to run to the divorce court and fight for splits and children divided, everything, instead of taking a step back and saying, is there anything? Because if there's even a little bit of hope, then that can be spun into a flame that can light a torch for that marriage to move forward. So that was a phenomenal testimony. Guys, I want to say hello to some people this morning. I see Kia Bello is in here. She says, agreed. Kiera Montgomery, good morning. Hot Topics. Calvin, good morning, guys. Good to see you guys on here together. Tyrone, good morning, peeps. K-Bat TV, good morning to you. A. Jordan, hello from Kansas. Thank you for sharing where you're at. JG, good morning from Los Angeles. LaShawn Jackson, good morning. Vashawn, good morning. Torre Love, good morning, Couples Academy. Hey, Tanya, good to see you. Jaguar, JD Pruitt, they just keep coming in. Lady T, Clarence Jackson, thank you guys for joining us. We love it when you let us know where you're from. It really helps us to get an idea of how far this message is spreading. Make sure you continue to like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends and family about Couples Academy.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you here. Listen, let's jump into today's topic. What we're talking about today is the help my partner keeps cheating. I think that what happens is oftentimes when people come to us and set up these discovery calls and we do these intensives, I would say a good percentage of them are repeat offenders, that things have happened in the relationship. And oftentimes there's a trend, there's a pattern. It happened before I do, okay? And then it happened earlier in the marriage. And then here we go again. It happened possibly a third or fourth time. Now, I will say that there's a difference between a repeat offender and a serial cheater. I mean, I think that's a deeper degree where somebody keeps cheating and cheating and cheating and multiple people and da-da-da-da. But the question is, why does my spouse keep cheating? How come we keep going into the same pattern? And I think it's important to understand that there's so many different factors. There's literally like a mindset, right? There's a way of thinking, a way that a person perceives themselves, their partner, their relationship, and their outlook on life, which really contributes to why a person is unfaithful. And I think the conventional wisdom says, you know what? It must be something that's wrong with the relationship. And maybe not necessarily so. There are all types of issues and idiosyncrasies that a person brings into that relationship that causes them to do what they do.
And I also think a lot of times the hurt partner is starting to question, well, is there something wrong with me? Is it something that I did? I mean, we do a lot of this self-blaming and looking to see, well, what was it about me that I couldn't keep my spouse from doing these things? So it's interesting to understand the psychology and of the mind of a person that keeps cheating.
So we're going to get into the mind of the person who is engaged in this repeat behavior. So let's go to the first one. They're able to justify their cheating. Now, this particular person will say the reason why I cheated is because of a lack of sex. It's because a lack of growth that I'm seeing inside of you. It is a lack of attention that you give me. You're never around. You never give me enough attention. You never give me enough affection. We're never as sexually involved as I would like. And because of that, I now begin to look outside to get from someone else what you're not providing me with. And this speaks to the marital void, right? When there's a void in the relationship that's not being met, rather than dealing with it and having conversations about it, you venture off. And so what happens is this can create an insecurity in the betrayed spouse, because now they feel like, well, I guess I got to do so much more to keep my spouse. I got to have more sex. I got to cook better meals. I got to give him more attention, because somehow I am not enough.
Especially if the offending partner blames you. You know, like it's like, you know, if it's because there wasn't enough sex, if there wasn't enough growth in the marriage, if it was because I'm not getting enough attention, and that's what you're telling me right now, I'm like, okay, like I said, it must be my fault. I wasn't enough. And then you start comparing yourself to everybody else. Like, how many times am I supposed to be having sex? What growth should I be doing, right? Because they're blaming you. So it's interesting because at the end of the day, you can find 1,000 reasons to justify your bad behavior.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, we're talking about help. My partner keeps cheating. We're going to be talking about a lot of points, but we want to get you engaged. Maybe you have been that person who has been unfaithful a number of times and you're trying to figure out why, or maybe you're married to somebody who continues to do it. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What are your questions? We're going to get deeper into this conversation on the other side of this break. You're watching the Couples Academy Show.
Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the Couples Academy Show, and we're talking about my partner keeps cheating and why. Why do they keep cheating? So we're going to go to the point number 2, which is they believe their partner is responsible for their happiness. And the fact is that serial cheaters are often putting all the responsibility on other people for their happiness, and they don't take the time to investigate what they do within themselves, and they certainly don't give their spouse the time to work on it. I think it's really frustrating to talk to couples all the time who they just went out and started taking these actions, cheating, or having emotional entanglement with people on the job because they felt unhappy, and they blame their unhappiness on their spouse because everything was great before I was married. I remember when, and you've forgotten that your happiness comes from within.
That's
like
right.
I can never make you happy. You need to be happy and whole within yourself. Your spouse's responsibility is not to make you happy.
Absolutely. And the reality is, listen, if you haven't found happiness within yourself, then there's nothing that your spouse can do to ever fill that void. And that's what happens. Well, since you can't do it, I'm gonna go out and find somebody else who'll do it. But then once again, it's temporary, right? It's that feeling of newness, that feeling of excitement, and then it's short-lived, and then you're off to the next and off to the next. So it's like emptiness within you that can't be filled because there's a hole within that individual.
And I think that person probably, if they actually had some good counseling, someone to sit them down, they would find in their lives they're always going from one need to the next. Like they have this insatiable desire for happiness. They've been turning every rock, trying everything, and they've yet to find it. But there's been nothing inside them that says, okay, this isn't the way, this isn't working. They're still searching and seeking outside of their relationship.
Let's go to the next point. They feel entirely misunderstood. We hear this oftentimes that, you know what, you just don't get me. You just don't understand me. Like we just don't connect. And the reality is the person who feels misunderstood oftentimes can be guilty of bottling in what's going on the inside of them. Like we would say that overwhelmingly a large majority of people wind up in affairs because they couldn't feel comfortable having a conversation with their spouse about what was really going on the inside, what they were thinking, what they were feeling. And so rather than becoming vulnerable, they shut down and reconnected with someone else who they had a surface relationship with because they fear vulnerability. They fear becoming emotionally naked. They have no problem becoming physically naked. That's easy. Yeah. That's what people do on a regular. But to open up my heart and open up my mind, I don't think that I'm ready for that. And so as a result, you give your spouse a false impression. They may be thinking everything's all right, but yet and still you're bubbling on the inside. Something's going on wrong on the inside, and you never took the time to articulate it to your partner. So they are oblivious, they're clueless, they don't know. And then that's when they're shocked about this affair. They're like, well, where did this all come from?
So true.
And then you open up and talk about what was wrong. And they're saying, well, why didn't you tell me that months ago,
Yeah.
years ago. I'm thinking we're living two different lives. Remember, we talk about
Two different realities.
Two different realities
Yes.
on the same journey together, but two very different experiences. So the person who feels misunderstood is because they've contributed to that situation by not opening up and sharing.
Wow. There's a comment here from Jaguar saying, I dealt with this for 8 out of 10 years. We've been married 2 years since his last affair, and I'm still healing. He is a sex addict, and we are both in counseling, individual and as a couple. I mean, powerful. And that's the thing, you know, people are not taking these opportunities to get into some good counseling. That's what's happening. They're going out, they're making excuses, they're finding other people to make them happy, and at the end of the road, it always ends in somebody's seat of counseling.
Absolutely.
Whether they're counseling to get a divorce or whether they're counseling for reconciliation.
Now, let me just say something about what Jaguar said, because typically the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, he's a sex addict. And either a spouse will assume that or the counselor will assume that based upon the number of offenses that have taken place in the relationship. And for him, he may be a sex addict. But this is why we're doing this show today, because we're letting you know that generally speaking, the affair isn't about the sex, it leads to sex, right? So the affair doesn't start in the bedroom, it ends in the bedroom. And oftentimes there are emotional issues that a person's going through that causes them to do what they did in the first place. And maybe the addiction isn't sex, but it could be attention. It could be the thrill of something new. It's so many different things. And that's why when we did that video a couple months back, the 5 hidden addictions of an affair, it would be worth watching that to really unpack it on a deeper level.
Another comment here from Ralph saying, I'm the unfaithful and have done it many times with different people, and just recently I'm understanding that this whole time it has been my issues of abandonment from when I was young, and just this year I've been changing. That leads us to the next point, I mean, so powerful here, which is they feel unlovable.
Yes.
I mean, the truth is that a lot of serial cheaters, they actually have issues of self-loathing. They've disconnected from their own value. These things happen very young when we are in our formative years. By the time we're 7, we have already been shaped by whatever the atmosphere that we were in. And so sometimes we tend to think that the cheater is this mean, crude, rude, selfish person that is uncaring and unloving. And the truth is that they have issues loving themselves. They feel unlovable. And so they're the ones that absolutely need to get in the hands of some counseling to start to unearth those issues and figure out, okay, where did you lose this sense of self? And let's help you to understand who you are so you can make some change.
Absolutely. Feeling unlovable actually leads to the next thing. And that's, they're scared to be alone. And it speaks to what the brother just spoke about. It was his own issues of abandonment. And so the reality is your spouse may be committed to the relationship, not thinking about anyone else, not trying to go anywhere, but you brought in the insecurity of abandonment, possibly because you were abandoned by somebody else, possibly in your childhood. Oftentimes we find that there are relationships, unhealthy relationships with a parent that led to abandonment, or maybe there was a friend or ex-partner that led to that feeling of abandonment, and you brought that in. And so for fear of you abandoning me, I'm gonna go out and consider other options. I'm gonna connect with somebody else so that when you leave me, I'm good. Or maybe, I don't know if you're gonna physically leave me, but I feel emotionally abandoned by you because we don't talk, we don't communicate, we don't engage. So I'm gonna get that emotional fix from somebody else because I fear losing it from you. So that spirit of abandonment is a major thing. Listen, guys, I hope you're getting something out of this. We're going through the points about why somebody continues to cheat. And this is why many of you need to consider doing the Last Chance Weekend. We have it coming up February the 19th through the 21st. There's so much information we want to share with you about it, but we'll be right back right after this break. You're watching the Couples Academy Show. Guys, I'm telling you, the Last Chance Weekend is exactly what many of us need. It's a 3-day intensive that's designed for couples who've actually reached their breaking point. Maybe it's due to infidelity or some type of separation. There could be some type of abuse, whether domestic abuse, substance abuse, verbal, emotional abuse. But they're threatened with divorce. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And to your point, so many people are just done. They're ready to just call it quits and give up. And so they're looking for one more opportunity to help turn this thing around.
Yep.
And the Last Chance Weekend does that. You know, we say it's equivalent to 6 months of counseling, but in our last Chance Weekend, somebody said, Hassani, no. This is a year.
They sure did.
This is a year worth of
Yeah.
counseling. So I would highly recommend get involved. Click the link in the description. That is where you can find out more about this incredible 3-day experience.
Absolutely.
All right, we're back onto the topic. We just finished talking about abandonment and the struggle that people have with that. But there's a couple more that we want to hit. Let's go to the next one.
So the next one is they don't want to hurt their partner. And even though it might be shocking to people, oftentimes these serial cheaters think that the best thing that they could do is keep it from their partner because they feel like they have these issues, they're not being served in their relationship, and they feel justified in stepping out. So the nice thing to do is to sneak and not say anything because guess what? It's gonna hurt them too badly. So I'm just gonna go and get mine and do me, and they never have to know anything about it.
This is the passive aggressive individual who doesn't confront the issue, but their aggressiveness comes out in a passive way, like having an affair and sneaking behind their partner's back, but they don't realize that what they're trying to avoid by bringing up an issue that will cause discomfort, you're creating way more because you're cheating. And then when that comes out, it's a lot more damaging
And
to
the
your
ones
partner.
that do that tend to be the ones that are so just like cocky about it. Like, well, I didn't tell you because you couldn't handle it. You know, like they lack remorse in some way, as opposed to those that kind of come clean with it. This person never intended to tell you ever. And the only reason why they're sitting in front of us is because they got caught.
Absolutely.
And they really wanted their cake and to eat it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next point. All right. They always think that someone else will make them happier. Like, you know what? I'm just not having fun. I'm not having any excitement. We don't do anything. We don't go anywhere. We don't have a connection. And I believe that she or he will give me what you don't give me. So it's the idea that the grass is greener on the other side. What you don't realize is that grass is being nurtured. That grass is receiving sunlight and water. And so it's something that couple is doing that has that relationship looking so great. You could have the same thing, but you have neglected and abandoned to invest in your relationship to make that grass what it needs to be. Listen, I grew up in a household where my dad took grass very seriously. He was out there with the fertilizer. He was out there with the trimmer.
He still is.
I mean, he still is. He's 70-something years old, still working on that grass because it takes time. And if you just think, oh, it should just be beautiful, it should just be manicured. No, that takes your own personal investment.
Yeah.
And so rather than putting everything on your partner, you have to realize your own responsibility for making your marriage what you want it to be.
And nobody knows your grass like you do, right? So you can look over at somebody else's grass and from afar it looks so clean and nice, but if you're standing in that grass, you see all the spots and the stains and all the issues. So that just speaks to that whole issue of people thinking it's always greener on the other side.
Absolutely.
Water your own grass. It will be green. It will get plush. There's a statement here. It's by Jerome. If I could turn that on. It's not working. Oh, there we go. I'm over here about to drop tears listening to this. You guys are slapping me with reality.
Thank you, Jerome.
Thank you, Jerome.
I
because
appreciate you saying
that's
that.
the point of this. That's why we do this, so that not that you think about your partner and think, oh, they need to hear this and they need to get it right, but so that you will actually make meaningful change as well. Let's go to the next point here. They believe they can't help it. And how many times do you hear this, that, I've heard a lot of men say that men aren't designed not to cheat or be, with one woman. That's a major issue. And I know women actually struggle with this too, but I hear a lot of men say that it's not natural for a man to be with one woman. So you actually think that this is normal and that you can't control yourself. And a lot of serial cheaters believe that there is an insatiable need. There's a desire that they have that they cannot quench with just one woman. And so they get out there and they try to find somebody else.
I
wanted to say, to balance it out with women, a lot of times it's another reason with women. Something may have happened earlier on in life that turned on this switch with women. It could have been abused or being exposed to pornography too early, where a woman also will have this insatiable, over-sexualized need to get out there and cheat.
And so for those who are kind of in that phase, like I was working with a gentleman and I said, why do you want to be married? And then his first response is, yeah, you know what? That's a good question because she don't do this and she don't do. I said, no. I said, wait a minute, whoa. I said, listen, your cheating has nothing to do with her. I said, let me ask you a question. Have you been unfaithful in previous relationships? Well, yeah. Well, have you had multiple partners when you were in your last commit? Yeah. So your current partner, your spouse, has nothing to do with what's going on inside of you. And so my question is, if you feel that you can't change it because there's some insatiable desire, why do you want to be married? Because marriage comes with a culture, with an expectation, with laws and rules that you have to live by in order for it to work. And so for you to realize that you can't control your insatiable desires because somehow you think something's wrong with you, why would you continue to be in a relationship and do your spouse the harm that has been done again and again and again? Well, what's it really all about? And I think it requires a deeper dive, and that's what counseling is for.
It does. They need to learn the coping skills. They need to understand their automatic thinking and why they just quick, respond and do what they do without thinking about the ramifications of it. It's almost like they're driven to make the decision, but there's also a guilt on the other side of it. They actually think, I can't help this. Why do I do this? So that counseling is a huge part of it.
Last point, they believe their partner made them do it. See, here we go again.
Here we go
You made me do it. Not the devil, you made me do it. And oftentimes they will take out their frustration, their embarrassment, their feelings of inadequacy, and project those internal struggles on their spouse and make their spouse the fault, the flaw, the responsibility for everything that they're not doing right. That is a major problem. So I hope that you're getting in your mind, wait a minute, it's not my spouse, it's me. There's an old gospel song. It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my mother, not my father, but me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. And you need to get the help that you need.
That's right. D'Angelo says, good morning. When you peek over the fence, it often looks good, but there are issues that you cannot see.
Wow.
And that's true. We talked about this sometime last week about how, we're seeking fulfillment through people who are broken. You can't attract to you what you're not. And so at the end of the day, we all need to seek some wholeness, seek some restoration, get into the hands of some good counseling. But first, recognize that you're broken. Recognize that you got issues and get in the hands of some good counseling that can help you get on the right path.
I just want to acknowledge what someone's saying. It's too large to actually put on the screen, but she said, we did a one-day intensive with Couples Academy, and it was so eye-opening after so many years of spinning and trying to figure out things on our own. And then they started weekly counseling thereafter. Listen, we're not here telling you to do what we don't think is going to work. We know that this is going to work and it's going to help transform your relationship. So you need to sign up today and get what you need for your relationship.
Absolutely.
Guys, you've been watching the Couples Academy show. I hope you're getting something out of this. We want you to like, share, and subscribe. Let other people know the power of what you can get when you sign on to a discovery call and then go further into counseling. Now, listen, before we go, we just want to let you know it's February, guys. It is February 1st. This entire month is what we call Love Month. Right? So we want you to be intentional to love on your spouse, to give them the level of romance that they need, rekindle, reconnect.
Don't wait till Valentine's Day.
Don't wait till that day.
That's a cop-out. You should be loving all year. But since it's Love Month, let's just turn it up a little bit. We're going to try to help you with that. But just keep it in mind, it's Love Month, and our intention is to revive intimacy and develop that connection that may have been lost or just might be dwindling. So stay tuned for that.
Guys, we are the Couples Academy Show. If you want to sign up for a free discovery call, just go to the website at couplesacademy.org or simply text us at 678-200-8996. Love you. We will see you tomorrow for another great episode. Boom. Deuces.
If you would like to be a guest on our show, or if you're interested in one of our restoration programs, contact us today at couplesacademy.org.